What gossip can you tell us about what people can expect from seeing Harry and Meghan in Australia?
Well, it's going to be a very interesting tour. Now, many people will remember they haven't been back since 2018. So I was on that royal tour as well, which was a royal tour back then. They were newlyweds. It was a lot of excitement. I was at the harbour when there was thousands of people. This is very different. So what we know, as you say, I will be back for the week. I will be travelling to all their engagements and seeing what unfolds during that time. But they are travelling as private citizens now, so it will be very interesting.
No taxpayers' money. They're insistent on saying no taxpayers' money. Yes. Well, there's surely going to be police officers there. There's surely going to be some kind of infrastructure surrounding them, but they're not. But it's not being funded. They've been very clear
to say that this is not being funded by taxpayers. So I know there was a campaign which got a few thousand signatures about all this, but just to be clear, they have said that very plainly. So what we can expect, we already know there are two marquee events. So and it will be Prince Harry speaking at a workplace mental health summit in Melbourne. So the couple will be there, and then we also know that Meghan is going to be the keynote speaker at her Best Life retreat. Now,
they're both getting paid for that, I would imagine.
They are both getting paid for that. As I say, this is a trip as private citizens, so they would be paid events. Meghan will be doing a Q&A on stage with an Australian media identity. And there will be, I think there's about 300 tickets. They were going, I'm sure the Sun wrote about this as well. Tickets were going for about £1,500. So not cheap to get into, but you'll get to be up close and personal with the Duchess of Sussex. However, they've now built in, throughout the week, the official itinerary has not been released yet, but what I'm hearing is it will be charity engagements that are to do with things to do with mental health, youth and women's issues, and of course Harry has very strong ties to the veterans military community in Australia. He's spent a lot of time with them over the years. So we can very much expect that this is all going to be built in across at least Sydney and Melbourne while they're there for those few days.
Sounds like a royal tour.
And well, it does. Well, that's a good point, Matt. It will be really, really interesting because, as I said, it's the first time they've been back. It's a very different landscape for them this time around as opposed to last time, but they will be in the same places they were back then. So we'll just have to wait and see, and I will certainly be delivering you any news from the ground.
Charlie, this is different to Colombia and Nigeria. This is Australia. People know, these are royal fans that line the streets for the King and Queen just 18 months ago and were there for Harry and Meghan back in 2018 or 2019. The King is the head of state in Australia, and Harry and Meghan and Bronte are off to Australia for this. I think this is more problematic than any trip that they've done in the past.
I suppose it is, but you've got to remember this trip is going to be vastly different from 2018. As Bronte's just said, that was a proper royal tour. This isn't. And the sounds and the voices that are coming out of Australia at the moment are very akin to the sounds and voices that are in Britain at the moment, that they're not as popular as they may have once been over there. Now, they're going over there, and as I've said to you many times before, I've got no problems with them making money whatsoever. I couldn't care less how they make money. However, what I do care about is the fact is, if there were just Harry Wales and Meghan Wales, nobody would care. They are using their royal titles and their royal links, if you like, to do these sort of things and make money. Now, she's going to have this fireside chat, 300 people paying £1,500 a piece to sit in a room with her. Now, as I understand it, the photograph that's going to be taken is going to be taken with her and 300 people. You're not going to get, as I understand it, not an individual photograph.
I think it's per table, if I could just clarify. Just one point.
Okay, well, all right. Even per table, that's, say, 10 at a table or whatever else. But, I'm hearing that not all these tickets are going. And that is a lot of money, and with Harry, I think Harry's money it's something like $486 for those who want to be virtually involved in that meeting, and then it's almost nearly $1,000 if you actually want to be at the actual meeting.
So what you're saying, Charlie, is they're going on what appears to be a royal tour to a country where the King is head of state, and making money for appearance fees.
Yeah, and as I said, I don't mind them making the money. It's the links that they've got that allow them to make that money. If they want to make money, as they have done with Netflix, there is an argument that says, would Netflix have even bothered with them if they weren't members of the royal family? No, I don't think so. But, they need to stand on their own 2 feet. and get divorced from, not divorced each of them, but divorced from the links with the monarchy.
Well, there you go, Bronte.
I know
it's going to be great.
I've said it will be great. I'm actually, it will be great in that I'm very interested. Well, it'd be lovely to be back in Australia to visit my people. But it will be very interesting. It's an interesting new era for them. It is the first time they've been back after everything that's gone on, and so just watching how that unfolds, because they're of course they're divisive in a lot of places. They have a lot of fans there, but they also have a lot of critics, and it'll be interesting to see how this all
when
goes.
the King and Queen were there recently, when we were there, you know, every event where there was a public kind of walkabout, they were filled with just royal family fans. There are a lot of royal family fans. I wonder how many people in Australia will come out to see them as royal family fans.
That will be the key to everything that goes on. I mean, I agree with Bronte that it's going to be a fascinating royal trip for all sorts of reasons, for the highs and the obvious lows that are going to come.
Can you see any pitfalls, any fears that any disasters that could?
I don't know about any disasters. I mean, the disasters will come, I suppose, at the two paid events, depending. I mean, people will be going through those two events with a fine-tooth comb to see, you know, how much money is made, how much money they actually get. Will any of that money be given to charity? There's not been any mention of that, whereas, you know, other members of the royal family, when these things happen, as you know, charities do tend to benefit from their visits because they're charitable. None of these are charitable trips that they're doing, as I understand.
Do you know what I think, Charlie? And we'll leave Bronte aside on this because we'll let her go away and enjoy the tour. We'll have a chat about this now. Do you know what worries me, or what my perception of this is that this tour to Australia, King is the head of state in Australia, big royal fans in Australia. This is like a dummy run for a Meghan and Harry tour in the UK.
Well, I disagree with you because I do not believe that Meghan will ever set foot in this country again.
I think it is. I think if it all goes well there, and you know the members of the royal, you know, it's Commonwealth, it's a realm, and they're treated okay, or that all goes well, Harry and his team will look at that and think, well, if we could do it in Australia, we can do a Harry and Meghan trip to the UK.
Well, the one thing about the UK is that Harry insists he won't bring his family to this country ever again until the security matters are sorted out. He insists on having, you know, paid for police protection, paid for by the likes of us, paid for police protection whenever he visits. That's still a thorny subject. Now,
are they going to have that in Australia?
What?
Well, armed protection in Australia.
He's going to have armed protection in Australia because it's being it will be supplied by the Australian authorities. And I suppose if he came here, he would get it as well, but not in the same fashion as he expects it to be given.
I understand what you mean about why the difficulties around why Meghan may never want to come back here. There's, you know, obviously it would be an issue where there may be people booing like they did a couple of years ago.
She couldn't face
it. Would be, and I don't think there's been any great appetite from her. But I think you make such an interesting point about it being a dummy run, because well done. You were due one. No, I'm joking. You always do. I do think it could be seen that way, because I think Australia. I mean, I'm based here, I write for Australian publications. There is a great interest in the monarchy. There are a lot of people that, as you said when you were on the tour there just 18 months ago, have a lot of love for the royal family, and particularly for Charles. Of course, there's the division and there's the Republic conversation, but it's very similar, I believe, there to what it currently is here. So I do think it's probably the closest you're going to get to that sort of social climate of figuring out how people are going to feel about it. But with that said, I can't imagine there's going to be those huge public-facing events in the way that the Royals do it anyway. But as I said, we're going to have to watch and see and find out. But I do think that's a very interesting point.
Thanks. It's a testing ground.